Australian politicians have used federal ASIC since the 1st of July 1998 to destroy a huge long list of Australian business and companies and steal billions of dollars from the public. I predict about 1 million Australian investors. They stole $362,000 of my money by destroying CME Capital. And I've received government violent threats from 2 government men and a rape assertion from one of them. Hugh Jorgen in a telephone call, laughing on the phone and making government violent threats against me. And a man named Michael Hunt, his manager, an ASIC manager on Facebook, sending me private messages on Facebook and threatening messages to me. And I'm going to read some of them out. Try what you will, just remember that there will always be a paper trail to follow from him. Yeah, your paper trail. I dare you to make that video. How would you like another 30 days ban from Facebook? Or would you prefer to go back inside and be forcibly medicated, which is a violent government threat, death threat, to have people psychiatrically tortured and even killed? It's apparent you're suffering mental issues, which is defamation to have people tortured and killed with psychiatry. Were you raped by any chance? This is Michael Hunt's own words. So making rape assertions towards me, a government man, he should be sacked and jailed for it. So I've written a 2-page letter to ASIC Chair Greg Medcraft, Deputy Chair Peter Kell, ASIC Commissioners John Price, Kathy Armour, ASIC Regional Commissioners there's a list of them, and all ASIC senior executives. And I'm sending my evidence of Michael Hunt's disgusting Facebook messages to me. I'll read the letter to the public. I want photocopies of my letter and documents regarding ASIC worker Michael Hunt given to all ASIC executives named above and any other ASIC workers who will support my and other investors' pursuit for justice. Michael Hunt and you have all been named in my social media videos regarding ASIC stealing $362,000 of my money by destroying CME Capital, and for stealing from the other 121 investors in CME Capital, totaling about $12 million. Also, you have been named for destroying a long list of Australian companies and businesses and stealing from Australian citizen directors and investors since July 1998. Obviously, Australian federal and state politicians are 100% guilty, and your ASIC government predecessors also guilty. Also guilty are your evil, stealing, corrupt government judges, lawyers, Nazi police used in your stealing consulting workers, FDI Consulting and other stealing consulting firms workers you have used. Also guilty for the torture and imprisonment of innocent Australian citizen directors after stealing from them and their investors, and government-driven homelessness and suicide of Australian citizens investors. I predict you ASIC executives have stolen billions of dollars from approximately 1 million Australian citizen investors since your existence, July 1998. I will therefore continue to publicly, politically articulate to have Australian politicians and their ASIC executives removed, jailed, and their money and assets confiscated for public compensation fund for your victims. First, the WA government assaulted, tortured and tried to kill me over my wheel clamp video, and while arbitrarily imprisoned, ASIC stole $362,000 of my money. The ASIC executives on the paperwork is George Stogdale. He and your names will remain public for stealing from me until my $362,000 is returned to me and all other Australian citizen investors are fully compensated. Australian politicians and their government workers have done and are doing what the Nazis did, stealing from, torturing, killing their victims and driving their victims to homelessness and suicide. ASIC worker Michael Hunt's public and private Facebook messages to me are violent, threatening and disgusting. You can clearly see Michael Hunt has made violent government forced drug threats towards me, threats of further government violent assault and torture and rape assertions towards me. ASIC's Michael Hunt colleague Hugh Jorgen made violent government stealing and torture threats towards me in his telephone conversation to me, and he was laughing about it. But those ASIC men, both those ASIC men deserve to be sacked and jailed for threatening me and are publicly named accordingly. If ASIC continues to threaten my good work with Australia's homeless and threaten my economic rights, I will spend the rest of my life destroying ASIC executives and your government organisation by having you all jailed and your wealth confiscated for my public compensation fund. and all your corrupt stealing judges, Nazi police, lawyers and any other government workers involved, and all your corrupt stealing consulting workers as well, deserve to be jailed and their wealth confiscated also. Australian politicians and new government executives and workers use the law to steal money and assets from the public using banks, courts, public trust, ASIC, sheriff's office, tax office, any slimy way you can stealing people's children as well. It's disgusting. I will have no further registration of any kind with ASIC after July 2017 because your piece of paper is only valuable for wiping the asses of your 1 million Australian citizen investor victims. ASIC deserves to be abolished, and it will be in the future. You, government ASIC, have destroyed Australian companies and business, and you steal from the public for the murderers, thieves and rapists in our parliaments and their government workers. I will make as many videos as I have to achieve my objectives. ASIC, Michael Hunt and Hugh Jordan seem to think it's funny for ASIC to steal from the public and make government violent threats and rape threats towards Australian-born citizens and women such as myself and others. If your executives are involved in any of their social media and phone threats towards me, I will eventually find out and name them as well. Any ASIC executives and workers in your government organisation and others who try to help me and assist me and other Australian citizen investors in our pursuit for justice will be noted for the public record. All evidence should be kept to prove you have helped and assisted us to obtain justice. You will be in effect a whistleblower for the public's benefit. My letter to you has also been made public for the public's benefit. And I'll set up an economic board, destroy ASIC and set up a new national economic board to empower and support Australian business and companies and protect Australians' economic rights, and also to have, what was the third thing? To set up a national compensation fund for all Australian victims who've had their money and assets stolen or destroyed by the government in whatever capacity. So I want a large national economic compensation fund for the public. That's an absolute must. By seizing confiscating their assets and money and setting up a national compensation fund for the public. And I'll